better.
LNG.
It's recording. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Recording, right?
Ndio copyright una.
I will let's see. I'm going to do it. I will have record. Just since it's our first time, I feel I am not for the start, but next year I do camera, professional camera. Yeah, even from home, you can see photos and video. All right, I was talking about HTML, and I said HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a standard language, used in building the structure of a web page, right? And I said also, are you with me? Then we also said that HTML is divided into two parts. We said the head and the what? The body. The head and the what? The body. And we talked about the body. We've talked about the head. When we're discussing about the head, okay, we also said that HTML are made up of what? Elements. Okay? It is the element that is actually being used to structure the content of a web page, right? Then, I now said, that our HTML and each element are made up of what? Tags. Opening tags and closing tags. Now, HTML, to begin an HTML page, I'm just recapping what we've taught already, what we did last week. We have a new student, I just want to say what we decided before we go on. We said, we have our tag. This is how HTML tag became right? These are opening tag. And these are closing tag. This is a tag. And I said an element has an opening and closing tag. So automatically this is an what? An element. Now, in this case, the HTML opening tag and the HTML closing tag is known as what? Root element. The root what? Element. What are you following? Now, once you declare HTML opening and closing tag, which is the root element, we'll have something like this. Now, this is a web page, automatically. By declaring HTML opening tag and closing tag, I already have an element called the root element. I now said HTML is divided into two major parts. And I use human being as an example. I said from here to here, my toe is the HTML. And my body now is divided into two. I have the head and the what? The body. Now, in this case, Now, I'm going to do this HTML page input, which is the head and what? The body. And I'm going to do that using the head what? Element. And the head element should have opening and closing tag. We have the head. This is my head. Opening tag. Opening what? Tag. And I have my head here. Closing tag. So this is the head what? Element. This is the opening tag of the head, and this is the closing tag. So automatically I'm going to draw this one like this. This is the root element, and this is the head element. So apart from the head, what else do we have? I think it's very good too. The head and what? The body. Now talk about the what? The head. This is the head. Now the body. Now the body, the body is also an element. So which means I'm going to declare it as opening and closing tag. So this is my body. Opening tag. And this is my body closing tag. Do you understand this? No, I know this is what you understood. We talked about. I'm talking about our new students today that just joined us. Do you understand this? It's very simple to understand. Please opening. These are roots elements. These are head elements. These are head what? Elements. And this is the body element. We now wrap it together using what? HTML element. We are telling the computer what we want to design, the website. You understand? This is how the website works. This is the beginning. Now we said inside this element you have the head. And we said that the head is used for what? For identification. Yes. But the right word I used was what? Metadata. Now, I said in our head, we have, I measure two measure tags. Okay, I measure one element. I said the title. Inside the head, we have what? Title. What is your name? I can't tell you. Anthony. So your title is what? Anthony. Inside the head. Now, if you ask, why is the title inside the head? The title is inside the what? The head. How do I identify you as Anthony? By looking at your face. If I look at your face, I will not know you are Anthony. If you turn your back, I will not identify you. If you cut off the head, and now call me, hey, Oga, who is this? Without the head, should I say this is Anthony? So the head must be there for me to be able to identify what the entire body or who that person is. So for me to really mention your title, which is Anthony, you understand? I must first of all look at your what? Your head and your face. I will look the way your eye, the shape of your eye, the shape of your nose, the shape of your mouth, the shape of your ear. All these things brought together makes your face. And that is what I will do. And I say, okay, this structure is known as what? Anthony. Without the head, I cannot identify the person. You understand? So your title is inside the what? The head. That is why we have this. We've explained this deeply. I just want to carry it along. Maybe as we proceed, we expand more. We also said, apart from the title, this is an element. We also have the meta data tag, or the meta, not tag, the meta tag. Meta what? Tag. I do not call it meta element because it doesn't have opening and closing tag, just only opening tag. So I'm going to call it a tag. So we have our meta tag here. Here I have meta. Meta is an opening tag. Name. And I said the name is what? Description. Input. I think the idea of those things but understand you should be inside the head tag. Description. And the next one is what? Content. We now describe who Anthony is. Anthony is a god, and he's part of us, right? That is how we describe him. He's wearing white shirt and the blue, white shirt with blue design. So the content is Anthony is wearing a white shirt and a blue design on the rest. I will not lose it. This does not have a closing tag. It only has an opening tag. So it's a what? It's a tag. I do not call it an element. So school of thought will call it element or self-containing element. But to me, I'm going to call it what? A tag. Because what I consider as an element should have an opening tag and a closing tag. So, but if you must refer to it as a tag, if you must refer to it as an element, we call it self-contained element. Alright. And I mentioned another meta tag again, which is what? Keywords. I look at that tag here, meta, name. So the name of this meta tag is what? Keywords. Write this thing down. That's the way I'm drawing it. You understand? Why as we proceed, get clearer to the investing, keep understanding. I'll be expanding it. That's what to draw ourselves back. That's what to push back again. Content. Now mention the keywords, which are the tags that search engine is going to use to identify your words, your web page or your website. What's the search engine? What's the search engine? I can't see any beyond Google Chrome. Stand up. The search engine. What's the search engine? What do you understand by the word search engine? Search engine is. I told you something there. At times, some questions, the answers are even inside the question. Right? I said that. And at times, even if you're finding something, if you're finding it difficult to define something, you can define that thing using the usage. You understand? Engage that thing there. You can use it to define the search engine. What do you search engine to do?
Use them to research.
To search. So in other words, search engine I used to do what? Search the internet. Now, if I'm to give you a proper definition, I would say search engine are those softwares or websites used to search the internet. And why is searching the internet? To get information. Now, have you wondered when somebody is searching on Google, you type schools in Anambra, schools will start coming out. That school in Anambra is a tag that is being contained inside this letter. It's the keyword you use to search that particular word to get the list of the websites or private schools. So here, my content will now be schools in Anambra. Schools in Anambra, comma, private schools in Bob, comma, whatever. Anything you know that a user will search, that is a keyword that a user can type, and it will show your website. The website will just move the list of results that will be returned by the search engine. Those words are called those key words, and this is where you put them. So when you put them here, when somebody search the internet using Google or any search engine at all, the website should be able to do what appears. Then aside that, I think that the two you mentioned about under one, the author and the rest. As you proceed, we talk about those ones. It's just a movement. So I just wanted to grab this major ones. Let the major ones you need to what understand. What you are talking about. Write it down and jot it. Because this diagram is going to help you understand better. Am I clear? This diagram will help you understand it better. Then as you expand, you get clearer to you. Alright. Hurry up. Copy your notes now to conclude, because not from where you're supposed to start today. Draw the diagram the way it is. HTML, you have the head, you have the body. Inside the head, you have the title, you have the title element, and the metadata tag. And I said metadata simply means information about and information. Meta, data. You explain this in detail over time. Metadata. Meta tags. You have to ask me a question about that. Any question? Just ask me a question. You have questions you can ask. Hurry up, so to proceed. Are you done? You are copying. Go ahead. Do you understand this clearly? Is it clear?
Yes.
Shouldn't be difficult for you to be a senior student. So your question, what's your difficult one? Now, I've given you basic element, our basic and basic meta tags for the head element. This is the section of what? The HTML. Now let's talk about the body. I want to clean this. Should I go ahead? Or no? So let me ask you a question. What are elements made up of? That's what an element is made up of. No, that's what I told you. I said an element, because I know if you understand, you say yes, sir. When I now ask you a question, you now give me wrong answers. Listen again. This is very important that you understand this, because this is your first time. An HTML element. are made up of HTML tags. So which means we use tags to define HTML elements. And I now say this is a tag. These are opening tag. This is HTML opening tag. And this is HTML closing tag. So this is HTML element. Now this is called the root element. Root is used to wrap every other element. And it is what tells the computer or the web browser, actually this is an HTML document. You understand? Or HTML file. I now say the HTML element is divided into two major parts. I said the head element and the body element. And this is how to declare your head element. Head using the opening tag and the closing tag. Body, which is another element, using the body tag and the body opening tag and the body closing tag. Then I now say inside your head, that is where you put the information about that particular web page. We're talking about website. So web what page. I now said the information contained inside the head are known as metadata. And here we have the title element, which is used to describe the particular name of that particular web page. The title, and I use your name as a title. Because what is your title? Apart from the chieftaincy, the other one is chieftaincy title. But your main title is your name. If one asks what is your chieftaincy title, you're going to tell me it's a name given to you, they give you direct card, isn't it?
Yes.
So which means title simply means what? Name. So to name your website, it's called what? Title. Is it understandable? So I have to put it inside the title what? Element. Because it has opening and closing tag, so it's a what? Element. I said I'm not going to call it an element, I'm going to call it what? A tag, opening what? Tag. So it's called meta tag. Because it doesn't have an open, it doesn't have a closing tag. So I'm going to call it meta tag. Assuming you know where closing tag, I'll not call it meta element. You understand? And that's some school of thought, you also call it an element, but in that case, we call it self-contained element. But in my own class, I'm going to call it what? A tag for clarity's sake. And I also said, here we have our meta tag. We introduce the first meta tag, which is what? The name of the first one is what? Description. Then the content is what you want to use to describe your web what? Page. Then the second tag I introduced is called what? Keywords. The content and the keywords you have to put into your web page. So when someone is searching the internet using the search engine, your website should be able to do what? Appear on the result list. Am I clear? So what is a tag? If you understand. Stand up. That's your person to stand up. What is a tag? What is a tag? What is a tag? Tags are those things, or tags are those codes used to create an element. Tags are used to do what? Create elements. Use the tag. Use tag to create what? Element. And I said for each element you should have opening and what? Closing tag. Sit down. Don't understand it. Are you done copying this? Now I'm done with the head. Let's talk about the body. Now the body. And that is where we stop, right? Even though we've talked about the body. But let me see just particular that. This is the body what? This is the body what? Yeah? What is this?
Body of me.
What is this now? Look at what is this? What is this?
Ball.
Oh.
Body.
So what is this? Body opening tag. Because I'm not, this is just a tag. I'm opening tag. And I have our closing tag here. So these are body what? Elements. Now, this is the body. When are you browsing or what? You are chatting. And this is for following you. Because I cannot understand when you are talking. Trying to make you talk and you are browsing your phone. Pay attention because we've learned a lot already. I'm just trying to patronize two things. These are body elements. And in my definition, I said the head tag, the head element, the content of the head element are not visible to the user. The content of the body element, the content of the head element are not visible to the user. They are used to provide information about the web page, which is called the meta data. Now, the content of the body element is what is visible to the user. Are you following? Now, if you open the website, anything you're seeing on that website is contained inside the body element. You understand? What is written inside the head tag, you're not going to see it. It's just used for this. Going to the machine on the web browser or search engine that uses the information contained on the head element for identification and description of your web page. But the content that the user is going to see will be inside the body element. Am I clear? Good. And I say, once you open your HTML element, open and closing tag, open your body, open your head element, open and closing of the head, and open and closing of the body. You now save your file. And I said, once you save it, your first page should be what? Index.what? HTML. Where HTML is what? File name extension. Where HTML is what? File name extension. So that's what I drew. I wrote HTML, open and closing tag, head, and body. Once you save it, since it is your first page, you're going to save it as index.html. It is a must to save with index.html because once you open that particular web page, the index page is what is going to appear. So once you save that particular HTML, head, and body, you save it. If you now use a web browser, we talk about web browser. What is a software used to browse the website. So once you open your web browser, you just see a plain white sheet like this inside the Internet Explorer, Internet browser. You understand? Then the next thing you start doing is to what? Add information to the page. That is the web page. You now start putting your picture, your text, your video. You design it how you want. Right? And I introduced, last week, I also introduced I introduce one element,
Yes.
which is called what?
Yeah.
You say? I introduced an element last week, which is what?
Yeah.
Who said that? VIV. Up here? And VIV, how my opening and what? Closing tag. So these are what? Elements. These are elements. Now, I said the VIV is the main element. It's a wrapper. It's a container. If I don't want something to get scattered, I want to wrap it up. Or they call me. I will use my words. DIV. It's a very important tag or a very important element in HTML web design. And when I introduce this, there are other elements that I will be introducing. It's not difficult. You just need to identify those elements by their name or by their tags and know what they are used for. You understand? So we list all those elements. You understand? But first of all, before we start listing the elements, we need to understand another thing. We need to expand this. And when we're talking about the expansion, we talked about what? The one on the pen. We talked about what? Attributes. Or the property of the tag. We talked about what? Attributes. And I said attributes are what?
Are used to expand
Attributes are used to add features or functionalities or modify the functionality of and what? So use your attribute to add beauty, to add more function, to expand the characteristics, to expand the look of what? An element, or the look of the content of an what? Element. Now, and I said attribute has what? Name and what? Values. Name and what? Values. Then we've gone far. When we start practical, we'll take you on from there. I said attribute has what? Name and what? Values. And I introduced one attribute yesterday, that day before last week, which is what? Align. What do I do? What did I say used to be assigned value to an attribute? Equals use of roots. So align, what do I use? Let's say center. Center. And I said align as an attribute has how many values? 4 values. Are you writing? For this in the Microsoft Word, we have of align. If you said you did use Microsoft Word and you've not heard of align, which means you need Microsoft Word now. Those are the basics, these are the fundamentals. Yes. At least not for anything. Words are used for typing of letters. Your letter you give to people. Yes. And you must align your text now. Center. Right, left, justify. In fact, this is the first thing they should teach you in Microsoft Word. So don't tell me you did Microsoft Word and you've not heard of align. Or did Corel Draw, you've not heard of Pick 2 in Corel Draw. Then what did you learn? You say? You cannot forget. There is no way you forget this one. It's like telling me you forgot your name. It's like asking what is my name. What is my name? I say I forgot. This is the number one they should teach you in Microsoft Word after opening the word. Once you open your Microsoft Word, the next is how to type ABC and how to align left, right, and before I do that thing. So don't tell me you forgot. It's not possible. That's why I said that you have to own a laptop to practice what you are learning. You understand? But if you don't have a laptop, it's difficult for you to understand. And I said practice makes what? Perfect. Now, I said we have left, right, we have center, we have right, and we have what? Justify. So your left, this is your page. Once I say align equals to center, the content which is should be here, which should be my text. Are you understanding it like that? Once I say align equals to center, this particular text will appear in the browser at the at the center. Since we're using center, it will appear at the what? The center. If the value is equals to left, it will appear at the left side. If it is equals to right, it will appear at the right side. If it is justified, the length will be equal here and what? Here. Yeah? The content, the text, will be justified. We've expressed that for written before we drew the diagram. So when we open our laptops, we look at it, we see what it looks like. And I said by default, it is what? Align left. So even if I didn't put align left, it will still align what? Left. But once it comes to the center, I'll put align equals to center. It will now align all the content, all the what? Content. And when I mean by content, I mean text, images, videos, audios, all of them. I think these are the four major ones. Text, images, videos, and what? Audio. These are all what? Media. One media has multiple media. It's called what? Multi-media. So these are the main things used to that. These are the main contents of every website. These are the main things used to pass what? Information. Another website I used to do was pass information to the user. So, and also said, now if I need to close this, right? Good. But I introduce this first. I've introduced what this particular attribute. Which other attribute should we introduce again?
We talked about color.
Color. Come and look at attribute. I think that was a mistake. I think that should be a mistake. That is the way we add color. We add color using CSS or use another element known as font. Font. How many of you use Microsoft Word? Microsoft Word. Use Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word.
Is that color now?
Yes, now.
Okay, so it's not.
Is the what? Sorry, this what? I mean, what? What do you say is the property?
Color.
Color.
Yes.
Yeah, color is an attribute of font. We have font as an element. We have font as what? An element. How we use? No, I said here, first of all, we're handling text manipulation, how to manipulate text using HTML elements. You understand? The HTML elements are there, but manipulating the content, we use the attributes to describe how the content will look like on the web page. You understand? So I just mentioned one, align, which is the basic. Aligning the content of this particular element to either center, left, right, or justified. Alright. Should I introduce another attribute or should I introduce another element? Another attribute. Okay. Now, some attributes are specified or are specific to some particular element. Not any attribute. There are some attributes that for you to use them, it depends on the element. It depends on what? The element, not attribute, not every attribute you use in any element. You understand? As we start mentioning other elements, you see the attributes that they have. Because the attributes depend on the function of that particular word, element. You have to determine the attributes you are going to what use. You understand? So DID mainly is align. That is a major okay, you see? Now let me introduce another attribute again to this called what? Title. Don't get confused. We have elements known as what? Title, which is inside the word third element. We also have an attribute called what? Title. We also have an attribute called what? Title. Then I come back. But I need the actually look at that self. Okay, Neta. Alright. I'm going for Neta. Okay. You know, in Nigeria, once you see light, you have. Thank God we have light. I will have light today. Thank God we have light today. So let me introduce another attribute known as what? Title. Title. The other one is title element. This one is title as what? Attribute. Title. Should I claim this?
Yes.
Title equals to. Now let me come here. Let me assume here the text here is Emeka is a boy. How do you describe this? What am I trying to do here? What am I trying to do? What would I do now? How do I describe this? How do I describe this sentence? What is this? This is Emeka is a boy. Emeka is a what? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you about Emeka. So this content is about Emeka. About what? Emeka. I will come here and I say my title is what? About Emeka. Now let me explain that and how it appears on the web page. How many of you have noticed that if you are browsing, there are some things you see, maybe an icon or a text, but probably you don't know what that text is all about or what that icon is all about. Once you bring up your mouse to that particular text, it will pop up something and tell you what it's talking about. Have you noticed that? Yes. Maybe you want to be browsing something. You see something like, let me say, this is Emeka now. If this Emeka should, if I save this thing now and open our web browser and type index.html, what you see there now, based on the structure we have, is Emeka is what? A boy. When I bring my mouse on top, Emeka is a boy. There's something that used to pop up somehow. Don't worry, let's go to where is my SP? Set up our laptop. Let's stop our projector. Start using projector from here. So I will see what this is. Because today we're supposed to start practical, right? Yes. No longer long talk. You don't talk last week. Today is practical. Let's have the projector. Look at our projector. Is it projector? Get that projector. So as you will be seeing it practical on your laptops. On your laptops. Let's start practical. You don't do this one. What will you do? Are you done? Supposed to start practical. Because once you start introducing these elements and the attributes, let them just take it theoretically. Once you introduce any attribute, you will see how it affects the words, the elements, and the contents of the words, elements. Let's set up our projector on your laptops. On your laptops, make sure the works on. If you have any issue, everybody has to assist you. Yeah? You need help. Can you add more pause? YouTube live. Yeah? YouTube live had a pause. YouTube live had a pause. Oh, no, look at them. Okay. Another call they won't Zoom. What's wrong with Zoom? Where do we put all this? On that board, Abby. Okay, we'll put it on the board. written report now, so I'm no longer getting the report. Because when I got it in the laptop. Or the too far. Should I get I don't make a cigar front. Okay, probably at the blood that I use. What can I? Okay, okay, oh yeah. Okay, can cash it too, sorry. That's good. For you. I have it. I'm a one player on you. I put up with you. Go and come back on you.
Na sa phone ga kwa Diamond.
Come